Welcome to another episode of the Quip Corners Book Corner. I have a special guest today. Again, that's usual, isn't it? Well, you'll see her bio right after this. Please join us in the Quip Corner and learn more about her and her book. Welcome, welcome to the Quip Corners Book Corner, Pastor Wumi.
Thank you.
We're here to talk about one of your books, because I know you've written more than one. Before we get talking about the book, what motivated you to write this book?
Okay, I was just thinking about today, like I knew you were going to ask that. So thank you first and foremost for inviting me. You've practically had to chase me down. So thank you for bearing with me. So to our viewers, I have two books that I've published by the grace of God. And I like to call the first one the surprise book that I didn't see coming. Some people dream of writing books. I didn't. So when this happened, it was like, wow, okay. So this is the surprise book. And this is the book that made me understand why God made me write this one. So this is the first one. This is the second one. So the first one is titled Christ in My Thoughts. The second one is about parenting. It's intentional parenting. Before the book became a reality, I always kind of blog. And the blogging started by just writing simple monthly messages to our women's group at church. And then someone else that's not a member of the church would receive it too, because she asked that I add her onto that list. And every time she reads it, she will have a comment. And one day we were just talking and she said, you know what, that thing that you're just doing by the corner that you just thought is just, just something to encourage the women. She said, that's a big thing. Like God is giving you this nuggets that you're together and all that. So I just continued that way. I think maybe I've been doing it for about 2 years. I don't remember specifically. And one day, you're just doing something randomly and God just said, yeah, now it's time to put most of those writings together in a book. And I'm like, book? Because in my own concept of books, you're looking at this big book, well laid out, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter this. And I'm like, no, that can't happen. And God did, when God is talking to us, he knows how to get our attention. So God reminded me of a book that I read through when I was still working, 12 hours shift as a nurse. So on my evening shift, I read through this apple cider. It's kind of a collection of short poems in a book, apple cider. I'm trying to remember the real name of the book now. So it reminded me of that. So I had to go dig it out from my archives and I read through it and I'm like, oh, okay. So it makes sense now that everything I've been writing under Christ in My Thoughts, whether on Instagram or through my blog page, can actually be put together in a book. And interestingly, when I asked the person that normally edits stuff for me, when I write, my simple stuff for church, bulletin and all that, when I told him, it's like, yeah, I've been thinking about it. Like, when is Pastor Wumi going to do this? And I'm like, and he said, I will edit it for you. Don't worry about that. And I'm like, okay. And I know someone that can publish it too. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it was like everything I needed to put this book together had actually been sorted out in the background before I even came to, publicly say I was going to do a book. That's the story of this book. So that's my surprise. They were practically chasing me like, we need the next set of reading. Where is the review? And I'm like, slow down. No, we're not slowing down. It has to be done this year. So they practically chased me, till this book was till it became a reality that we can hold in paper. So that's my journey into becoming an author. Yeah.
Wow. It's amazing, how, like they say, little drops make an ocean.
Yeah.
There you were just doing your own thing.
Yep.
And God was saying there are pieces to a bigger puzzle.
Bigger puzzle, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us about the book. What's in the book? I have read it, but I'm not going to give it away. So you tell us.
Okay, so what's in this book, Christ in My Thoughts, it's a collection of writings that I did randomly. Some of them were in existence before the idea of the book came up. Some just came when the people working on the book said it would be good to have this many writings. So I'm like, oh, God, okay. And within the space of a certain period of time, God brought all those extra ones. So how Christ in My Thoughts actually came to be as a blog or Instagram page is that it's funny how, when people say God doesn't speak to us as human beings, I disagree. 100%, I disagree.
Yep.
God speaks to us all the time.
Yes,
we just have to figure out how and when. So for me, I could be driving down the road, like there is one of the writings in here that's titled Green Light, Red Light. So I was just driving, we were all stopped at the red light. And I just noticed, which is something that happens all the time, that all of a sudden, maybe there are 3 lanes of vehicle and you're at the red light, and all of a sudden someone moves. The light has not turned green. Without thinking about it, it seems all the other cars around them too does a little move. And then we all stop because we realize, oh, the light has not turned green. So that is what battered green lights, red lights. Like, there are times we jump ahead of ourselves and it's not time yet and we have to check ourselves and we need to learn to wait for when the right time comes, when the green light turns on before we move, when God is leading us to do things, or else we'll crash into someone else, right?
Yeah.
If you go moving, you cause an accident, you might kill somebody. So that's how all of the writings in Christ in My Thoughts, actually, that's how they come. I might be standing by a leaky tap, and that leaky tap, God is speaking to me about something. And if I can backtrack, my first writing, when I started writing, it was an incident. I was standing by the bathroom sink, getting ready for school. I was still a nursing student there. And I was trying to put my earrings on. So I got one on, I reached for the second one and I missed it and it dropped. And before I could catch it, it went down the drain. And I'm standing there like, oh my God, my precious earrings, blah, 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 right there. And then God said to me, you know what? In life, sometimes you, my children, you drop through dark holes. You go places where you shouldn't go, but my love is so deep that I can reach down into whatever deep hole you might be in, and I can fish you out of it. So that was my first Christ in My Thoughts moment. That's my first Christ in My Thoughts. And, this thing happened now, I'm thinking probably 2007. Oh, wow. And I still remember that experience, how the Holy Spirit just said it to me that, you know what? You might not be able to rescue that earring, but God can rescue anybody from whatever deep hole, darkest pit that we might have fallen into. Yeah. His hands can reach down. So I kind of use that as my Easter writing a few times, that, what God's love can rescue. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. With what you've been saying, I'm smiling because it's also a personal experience of how God speaks to us in the everyday things.
Exactly.
It's back to God is always speaking, but who's listening?
Exactly. Yes.
Who's listening? And I'm sure a couple people will be like, okay, that sounds like a good piece. That sounds like a good piece. And some people know that I usually ask my guests, please read something from their book to us.
Yeah.
So please, would you oblige us?
Okay. So I'm going to read from page 61, and I titled this one, Helmet. So as I went out and about running errands this morning, I came across an accident that recently occurred in the city I live in. And the nurse in me couldn't just let me drive by, so I stopped to help. A cyclist was hit and lay on the road. I joined other persons to stabilize her, and we waited for the paramedics. Thank God she was wearing a helmet. As I left after the arrival of the paramedics, I was just thinking of how many people are out there riding bicycles without helmets to protect their heads. Then it occurred to me that so many Christians are guilty of that. The Bible lists a helmet as one of the items that makes up the whole armor of God. We need to put it on to be able to withstand the wiles of the enemy. And that I take from Ephesians 5, verse 11 to 17 from the Bible. Just as it is very important for a cyclist to wear a helmet to protect their head, right? Their physical head. It's very important for a Christian to have the full armor on at all times. Putting on the whole armor of God is for our own good. Just like putting on the right gear for cycling is for the good of the cyclist, right? The whole armor of God is a spiritual gear to ensure that we don't get wounded in the battles of life. Just as the accident victim was not expecting to be hit. She was not prepared for it. She was just riding a bicycle, right? And what actually happened was she was just riding a bicycle by a parked car and the person opened their door. That was what caused the accident. But she was saved from having a head injury because she had her head protected. So the question is, how prepared are we as Christians for the battle of life? Do we put on our whole armor daily, or do we put it on whenever we feel like? And when we do we put it on rightly? Because if she had the helmet on and she didn't clip it, it probably would have flown off her head, right? Yeah. So our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the sneaky devil that shows up when we least expect. He goes about seeking whom to destroy, and our ability to stand our ground is dependent on whether we are always dressed with the full armor of God. So the question now is, do you have them on? Do you have your belt of truth, the breastplate of righteousness? Is your feet ready with the gospel of peace? Do you have your shield of faith, the helmet of salvation, and the sword of the Spirit? So as you go about your day, always remember that you need to be fully kitted for your journey. Stay safe out there. So that's that one.
That's a beautiful piece. And, especially in summer, when a lot of people are out there riding their bikes, this is definitely one people can relate with.
Relate with for the season, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, the thing that's, that's, what's the right word? That is really instructive in this piece is you don't wear the armor of God, or you don't wear your helmet because you are expecting an accident.
Exactly.
You wear it because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, be prepared in any season. Be prepared for anything. Anything can happen. It's called life, right? We pray, we hope for the best, we have faith, but sometimes we leave our homes. You have a flat tire when you don't expect to. I remember someone saying something about they were driving to work, and for whatever reason, they felt God telling them not to take their usual route. And they're like, that must be the devil. This is the fastest way to work. Well, there's construction. They got in a traffic and it was like, oh my God, why didn't I listen? So God talks to us all the time. We are the ones that need to learn to listen.
Yeah. Indeed. Indeed.
Yeah.
So how could people get copies of your book?
Okay, so copies of my book, both of my books, this Christ in My Thoughts and the parenting one, for whoever just joined, they're both available on Amazon, solely on Amazon for now, and it's Canada, US, and the UK. Yeah, and even people from Nigeria, that's where I'm from, so Africa, you can order via Amazon. That's where it's solely available right now. This used to be available at a bookstore in Saskatoon, but during COVID, everything just messed everything up. So it's just solely on Amazon right now, and you can order both of them out there. Yeah, just type in my name, Wumi Oyetuga, and both books will show up. Yeah.
Thank you for that. We'll add that information below this video. And now, in the presence of the world, may I invite you again to the Quip Corners Book Corner so that you can tell us about that second book at another time.
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay. Now that I have that invitation in hand,
we'll work out the dates.
We will work out the dates. We will find a way. A question for you.
Sure.
What do you want readers of your book to take away? What should they, as they read the book? I know what I have taken away from my copy. But what do you want others who haven't bought theirs yet? What do you want them to take away from the book?
Yeah. So for anyone that has read it, that will still read it in the future, the main message here that I want everybody to know is that God speaks. Let's stop ignoring it. When we hear it, let's take action. When we need to take action, let's take it immediately. And let's also help others around us, especially if you're a Christian and you have young people around you. Help them get to that place where they will be able to hear God speak to them. The key message is God speaks. The second message is let's learn to obey when he speaks to us. And like I said at the beginning, that this was my surprise book. The number of people that have been blessed by this book or that will still be blessed about it, I didn't see that coming. So if I had said no when God said, put this together, then I would have denied those people that blessing. So let's not wait till everything looks fancy and acceptable before we do it. When God says do something, yeah, let's get it done. That's what I have learned with this book, and that's the message that I would love for people to learn. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for that message. And I'm sure as this video goes viral, by God's grace, we'll have people ordering the books. It's good to know that it's on Amazon because
yes, it is.
Amazon is available worldwide.
Worldwide, yes. Yes.
Thank you so much. And I'm definitely looking forward to your next visit.
I'm looking forward to it too, because I love talking about parenting too. So we'll do that another day, definitely.
Thanks again. God bless
you. Thank you so much for inviting me. God bless you.
Amen. Okay. It was really nice listening to Pastor Wumi talk about her surprise book. That's interesting, isn't it? But it just goes to show you that we all have different gems and gifts within us that God is expecting us to serve our world. I'm sure some of you could relate with what Pastor Wumi was saying. It's interesting and intriguing how God speaks to us in our everyday moments. It doesn't need to be this big sound from the clouds type thing. God is with us every step of the way. God always speaks. We just need to be listening above the noise of the world. I encourage you to copy or more of her book. It's a very easy read. Lots of chuckles along the way and very relatable. I truly enjoyed reading it. Check out Amazon to read my review on this. And of course, I have reviews on other books I have read on Amazon. You'll find information on how you can reach out to her below this video as well. And I am looking forward to her next visit to the Quip Corner. Until we catch up again in the Quip Corner, do keep Christ in your thoughts. Bye now.